WSET Spirits Level 1, Chapter 10, Mixing with Spirits. In this chapter, we will explore the core principles of creating a balanced cocktail and examine some of the key cocktail families from which many classic cocktails are derived. Balance in cocktails. An outstanding cocktail shares many of the characteristics with which we measure excellence in a spirit. Although it is important to start with quality ingredients and the right tools, what really separates a good cocktail from a great cocktail is balance. Generally speaking, there are two sets of scales used to achieve this: strong versus weak, and bitter and/or sour versus sweet. Strong versus weak. The strong element of a cocktail is the base spirit, which is generally 40% ABV or higher, and the centerpiece of the flavor profile. The weak element refers to the dilution provided by ice through stirring or shaking, as well as optional non-alcoholic ingredients, such as fruit juices, dairy products, sodas, club soda, and tonics. Bitter and/or sour versus sweet. It is common for a cocktail to be sweetened and then seasoned with another ingredient, called a modifier, which is there to provide a bitter and/or sour counterpoint. Sweetness can be added in many forms, including sugar, simple syrups, and liqueurs. However, if the cocktail is too sweet, it will be cloying and unpleasant. The sweetness is balanced by sour, acidic ingredients such as citrus juices, or bitter ingredients, most obviously cocktail bitters. It is important to remember that a single ingredient can provide a combination of these elements, and the key to success is balancing the strong, weak, and bitter, sour, sweet to create a cohesive whole where none of the components dominate at the expense of the others. For example, aromatized wines can add sweetness, bitterness, and acidity to a cocktail. Cocktail families. In the following sections, we look at some of the classic cocktail families to show how the principle of balance is used and to show, despite their varied names, just how interrelated individual cocktails are. There are hundreds of classic cocktails, and new ones are being invented all the time. For someone new to cocktails, this can make them seem very complex, but this is not in fact the case. First, all cocktails are built out of the 4 points of balance: strong, weak, sweet, bitter, and/or sour. With a good understanding of these key facets, a bartender can modify a recipe as needed. For example, using a different brand of spirit from the same category can change the drink. A more radical change is to replace the strong component with a completely different spirit, as is the case with rum old-fashioned. Second, we can divide mixed drinks into two categories: short drinks and long drinks. Short drinks usually have a limited number of ingredients and rely on dilution through shaking or stirring with ice to provide the weak component. Within this category, we have the short sour cocktail and the spirit-forward cocktail. Long drinks are typically larger, of higher volume, with the weak component often being provided through sodas, juices, dairy products, or other non-alcoholic beverages. Within this category, we have the highball and the long sour. The spirit-forward cocktail. These cocktails are higher in alcohol than others, and in their simplest form, they can be a combination of a spirit with sugar and bitters, or a combination of a spirit and liqueur. In more complex variations, sweetness and bitterness are balanced using various combinations of sugar, aromatized wines, and bitters. These drinks are generally built or stirred, and use ice for dilution, as well as chilling. There are many variants of this style of drink that bring together the ingredients in slightly different ways, but they all celebrate their core strong ingredient. For example, while the old-fashioned and the Manhattan are both whiskey-forward cocktails featuring Angostura bitters, the complexity of the sweet vermouth in the Manhattan makes it quite distinct from the old-fashioned. Another common modification is the addition of cream, which creates the Alexander family of cocktails, such as the Brandy Alexander. The short sour. This family of drinks employs a classic balance of strong sour-sweet, and is the basis of a large number of successful cocktails, as well as several notable variations. Shaking chills and mixes the ingredients and creates a light, airy texture, as well as a degree of dilution. Classic sours are made using a spirit, citrus juice, and unflavored sweetener, such as a simple syrup. Some of these recipes also call for an egg white, which give these drinks a foam head and a silky texture. This is essential in a pisco sour and appears in some other recipes too. Many bars now use vegan foaming alternatives, such as aquafaba, which is the chickpea water. More complex sours add to this basic formula by using either a flavored sweetening ingredient or a different sour ingredient. The highball. The highball is the simplest of all mixed drinks. It is a long drink served over cubed ice. Obvious examples include gin and tonic, vodka tonic, and whiskey soda. Notable examples that have a specific name include the Cuba Libre, which is rum and cocoa lime, and the Greyhound, which is vodka and grapefruit juice. An example of a cocktail that uses bitters as well as a spirit and a mixer is the Horse's Neck Cognac, ginger ale, and bitters. Other variations use a split base for the strong elements, such as the Americano, which is made of Campari, sweet vermouth, and club soda. The long sour. This family of cocktails contains several subcategories, including the Collins,